Well, should we skip a week? I don't remember.
I guess
Or we just
technically because we
postponed
skipped
it a few
last. Yeah,
days.
we just postponed it to now.
Okay, that's right.
We did skip a week of Tuesday though to do the moving.
Has been a pretty eventful past couple weeks for everybody. For our community, it was moving stuff. So, new location kind of feels like a small thing, like only practically impactful. But I feel like maybe there's well, I don't actually have much of a feeling or thought about it, but
Oh, I agree with what you're saying. I think it's a physical markation of a new thing.
yeah. But I feel like, or I would think it was probably a pretty eventful past couple weeks for Corbin.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we get to keep putting him on the spot.
I got my fridge.
Oh, nice. Did you get the one that was in storage, or you got your
No.
phone?
Wait, what?
I got a new fridge because
Oh,
my dad. The only Carter just moved stuff, but I still have a picture. The only thing in it was like went up to Granny's to get milk so I could cook with it. So there's just a picture of just like a disposable cup.
32 ounce cup of milk.
Yeah. I
For
really
what?
into that.
What were you cooking?
My cousin and my Carter, my brother.
Good.
I was only able to cook then. I tried to cook macaroni without milk. Don't.
No, don't do
I used
that.
way too much butter and then I've had a headache since.
Oh,
So
yeah.
don't do that. Drink lots of water.
That's nice, though.
No, I'm a fan of the new location. Right now it was for voting. I also kind of like the time. I'm wondering if the rest
Oh,
of
the
it
time of
become
day.
less
Yeah.
social at this hour. This is about the time all my friends are expecting me. I have energy now.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I was
We're
also
gonna have a more chipper Corbin. Then.
Yeah.
I was also thinking, just because I know this won't always work this time, just because grannies and such inevitably, I don't know if, I feel like in the future, it may be helpful to alternate, because I think inevitably there's going to be people who can't make it, either physically like Kayla, or like literally at all, because like Elijah or Benji or someone is working. It might, and I'm not saying this is a for sure, but be beneficial to do a thing where we kind of like alternate times, like every other week or like every other month, I suppose. That way, like different people can be able to make it. Just because I doubt anybody's gonna want to be out. Or I doubt like people like you with the morning shift on Sunday are gonna want to come out here at 9 p.m. when that eventually happens, because we're gonna be closing, right? And so
Sure.
I figured this time in general won't work anyways. And so maybe in the future there's something we can do where it's like every other day we meet on different times, either like a morning interval or an evening interval. That way we can at least like make sure nobody is always missing it, and only like sometimes Benji or Elijah can't come, sometimes X person can't come. You know what I mean? That's a thought. And also another thought I had was we could just meet Tuesday after school,
Oh,
because we don't have meeting anymore.
I kind of agree with
Yeah,
that.
I was thinking we don't have meeting
all gonna be
anymore.
together
We're all
anyways.
gonna be here. Corbin's 5 minutes away.
right.
Corbin will also argue.
That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, because you show up for the Father's House reading. That's right.
Done.
Yeah, I think since we're all already here, Kayla wouldn't have to make another trip, and also wouldn't have to, because with our current setup, Kayla can only make it online, which is kind of sad. I figured Tuesday evening would probably in the future work the best, and then.
But
you
how
get
would
off
that
at-
still work
Usually
better
around that
for
point.
Kayla if she is with her? I mean, she could maybe bring her own car.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, but I was at the Lacasse house last night talking about it, and
Oh.
they seemed like Tuesday sounded better.
Yeah, if they think so, then I
Yeah,
think
does that
would
work
be-
for you, Kayla? Would Tuesday evenings work? Like, could you take your own car, or like maybe your family waits or something to that effect?
For me,
That works good for you? You cut out a little.
yeah, that
We got
I
the
heard
last part of the
yeah,
sentence
I
at the
heard
end.
yeah, so I'll
What I
assume that
was
was your
gonna say.
answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did and then Elijah normally gets off at around 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a
wavering schedule, but the standard usually is 4 o'clock. But sometimes things do go overtime.
He can communicate with us though, and if it turns out,
I may just come a little late sometimes because I never know where I'm gonna be.
it could also be like Elijah's gonna be a little late. Let's all go grab drinks or a snack.
I
or
could
something
also
to that
call
effect,
in my time.
Drinks like
when I'm
coffee.
there, so.
Yeah. No, I understand.
like what we used to do before Tuesday, right?
What other drinks have we got?
I don't know. He chuckled at me, so I didn't know.
Serious.
But I feel like Tuesday evening would probably in the future work the best.
agree.
Do we agree? Okay. So I guess
Sounds
like
good.
not the next Tuesday, not next Tuesday, but the one after. Yeah, we would do it.
Yeah, that's
That.
definitely worth trying if that
Okay.
works for everybody.
Yeah, because I think we'll already be here, and Elijah should be able to make it.
Most of the time.
Yes. And if we have to be flexible, or you have to be a little
I'll
late,
just be
either
there,
one works.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, 'cause I did feel a little sad for Kayla.
Yeah, that was definitely tough because I was trying to make it work so that everybody could participate. Because
Yeah.
I figured that's what would be most important to everybody, like to participate at all. Yeah.
No, I agree. It's just, I think it's not an easy situation regardless, but if Tuesday evening works, I think it's worth trying. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
Good solution.
Yeah. I was kind of curious because I wasn't there for it, and I've talked to like a couple people like separately about it, but how you guys felt on the study of the Father's house room, because I was sick, so I wasn't able to be there in person. I was listening online, and I really liked that room. I actually immediately wrote down some thoughts for a poem about it and made that. But I was kind of curious because I had heard from some others that it was like, I don't even know if necessarily a trickier room for some people would be the right word, but I feel like there was a lot of like distracting things happening at that time, like whether it be like pains or headaches or things like that. And so I'm just kind of curious if you guys can remember how you guys were feeling during that time, because I obviously was like, my ears were stuffed to the brim with wax and blood at that time, so like there was a lot of just things going on, and so I'm kind of curious how you guys were feeling, if you can recall, because Corbin, that was your first time there as well.
Yeah. I talked to Benji about it afterwards.
Yeah.
For me, it was just a lot of, I'm new to all of this.
Mhm.
There was a lot of, it was meanings I just didn't use for things.
Mm.
And not in a I didn't understand it way, but just in a I've not allowed myself this before.
Elaborate. What do you mean?
Hungering for knowledge instead of seeking it or stuff like that. I think I'm used to living a little more humbler than that. I will receive what I can. I only lead by example.
Yeah.
I can only teach by doing the right thing. So when it comes to like preach or spread that knowledge into the world, it's like, I can't do that.
Well, thankfully,
not-
that's definitely not the message of that room, at
It's
least.
to study.
Yeah, and I would even say, so far as like knowledge, I'd say there's a pretty, at least in a lot of the times when we use the language, like a demarcation between wisdom and knowledge. A lot of the time when things like the study and things like that are mentioned, it's less about like this kind of intellectual understanding of God
no,
or
you're absolutely
scripture or things like that, but it's actually knowing the person. Like wisdom is a person, right? Like truth is a person,
Yeah,
you know?
That was the biggest hurdle for me. Learning not by wanting to learn or listening, but by craving and having a passion, and that is how you.
And I would even say, and this is just from someone who like still kind of has a passion for learning certain things. Like things will pique my curiosity, but that's kind of different than like wanting to get to know a person, right? Like think of this, there's this person that you don't know a whole lot about, but like they're kind of interesting to you, and you're like, yeah, I kind of like to get to know them, right? And then the more you learn about them and you start to like them, you're like, yeah, I want to get to know this person more. It's like this relational desire. You know what I mean? It's not like this thirst for knowledge or things like that. Because I don't know. I guess I felt both, and I feel the desire to know someone is a lot more, I don't know, I guess pure. I feel like with the thirst for knowledge, it can be very voracious and very consuming. And I feel like with at least how the study really touched me, it felt like a very I don't know, I guess a very intimate thing, and a very I don't know. I can't think of a good adjective for it, but
I'm glad for the context though. That clears it up in my head.
does that make a little more? Yeah.
I was deadpan quiet the first 3 years I knew you guys, and I definitely embodied that feeling of like, be cool to talk to them, but I'm like doing my job, and that's all I would allow myself really. It was like this, yeah.
I get what you mean.
I'm gonna overshare.
You're okay.
But,
It doesn't look like anybody else is jumping to
no,
jump
that's
in.
the problem. It's just me and the frog.
It's okay.
outside. But
Yeah, the study, I think, the language I used in my poem was the equivalency of like a son being told bedtime stories by his father, because I think oftentimes for me that is kind of how that relationship has been built up with myself and the father. And I know that sounds really wishy-washy, poetic language, but in a way, stories and my creative side of my mind, which is a way that really helps me bypass the intellect, is how the father speaks to me a lot. And so whether that be through writing poetry or stories or whatever it may be, very often that is where he has expressed himself and his heart to me, if that makes sense. And so I guess kind of what I mean by there being a difference with like, you're not studying scripture, but it's like a room where it's an opportunity to know the person more. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what the allegory for the whole house is, right? Is it's like this room traditionally has a purpose in a house, right? But
Yeah.
it's always multifaceted in the Father's house. And all of it is in the context of being able to see another side of his character and getting to know a side of him that previously you didn't really know that much of before. You know what I mean? I think it's a shame that you missed the living room, because that was the first one, and I think that one is generally very relatable, because I feel like that's where a lot of people get to meet him. But it's like knowing one side of the person, right? It's like, you only seeing us at work, right? You only really get to see one side of us, and you miss out on some relational depth there. But as you've gotten, we used to have those what was that, Saturday night where we'd all go to the studio and like get fast food and stuff.
Sundays.
Sunday or Saturday, something like that, where you got to see different sides of us, or you joining our little phone call when we were playing Roblox games and getting to see that side,
it was
right?
brutal in there. I used to that.
But I
haven't been privileged enough to.
hey, we have invited you.
No, you haven't.
I have said if you want to, anyways. But that's how I see the Father's house.
Gotcha.
It's really a beautiful opportunity to see different sides of who he is. You know what I mean? And so I don't want you to feel like I'm like saying, no, that's not how you should think about it.
No.
I was just, it's like an encouragement.
You're
Don't
grand-
stop there.
Yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean? Don't
granting
like,
context.
don't look at it like, oh, this is the purpose of the room because this is its function, right? Because there's always an inner depth there. And I think that's really where the beauty of the book has shined through, at least for me, is, and there have been rooms in the, that we've read through before getting to this one that were very confusing to myself. And I think partly that reason is I haven't met the Father in those rooms. I don't know what that side of him really looks like yet. You know what I mean? And so if you feel like that with some of these rooms, that's very natural. But I think what this book is also such a cool opportunity to do is to seek him in those ways, right? There can be something attractive about a room to you, inexplicably. There have been, for me at least, where you don't know if you know what that looks like, but you kind of want to. And I think that's what this book serves for all of us as a great opportunity for, is like, I don't think I know the Father in this way, but I actually would really like to.
Gotcha.
Because this part of him is something that is, it's like wanting to know this side of a person, right? I don't know you in this way. I want to get to know you in this way, right?
Yeah.
And so I that's how I've really been loving the book, and I think that's how I've really been able to appreciate it outside of just the very confusing and poetic language that he enraptures
No,
everything in.
I fully get it.
Mm-hmm.
I will overthink anything, but yeah, if I can see it with a sense of irony or poetry. Or,
Yeah, exactly.
If it's art, it is simple.
That's for me. That is so, and I think we're pretty alike intellectually. How we like to tackle things
Yeah, but
and
no,
chew on
yeah,
them.
it's the same way you described it. Of like, my head is going to rationalize it if I don't make it an unrational or
Yep.
artistic.
Yep.
If it's not expression,
Yes.
I'm going to crunch it.
That's exactly, and that's what I meant with the study room. How it's stories, because creatively, it's exactly what you're saying. That's how I can bypass my mind so often, and that's how the Father really speaks to me. So I would, if you're feeling that way, I would seek Him in that way, actually, because anything that's you're able to bypass that, like trying to crunch the numbers, that thing our brains do, and if for you that is creativity, then that is very much an entry point for Him to talk to you in that way.
Okay.
That's how it was for me, at least, and that's very much how my experience has been.
Gotcha.
But did anybody else have any thoughts about the room? I'd love to know. Or even just the time itself, if you guys were feeling ill or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but it definitely did go kind of over my head a little bit. Just one of the first rooms that I felt like I probably need to go back over it. And I think part of it was because I was having a hard time relating to it, so maybe there is some lack of relationship in that
In that
part
room,
there,
in that
but
way, yeah.
I don't know. I have really been having a hard time even understanding where I'm at, I guess, spiritually recently. So just kind of that feeling.
I've definitely been there recently as well.
But I mean, it's not a bad thing.
No.
I just think that there's maybe a shift of focus that I'm trying to learn what that means, you know. Less about where I am personally, but just more focused on what the Lord is doing and, you know, in His people and definitely in the ones that are close to me. But I'm
That's
trying
beautiful.
to see
I
what
actually
that
had a
means.
very similar revelation not too long ago. I think I think it's always been described like, you know, the hero's journey. Like there's a lot of hills and valleys with this walk. And there can be some times where you're feeling very connected and like, oh, I know where I am and all the things. And then there's some times where you just feel so lost and you're in one of those valleys and everything's dark and you can't really see anywhere. And I have learned, it's very similar to what you're saying. If I can kind of get myself out of like, I need to figure out where I am and just be like, okay, I don't know where I am, so I'm just going to look where you are. It not only really helps you get out of those spots, but also it helps you not feel as stuck when you get in them. Because even if it's like, this kind of sucks right now, when your gaze is not really fixed on that, when you're looking ahead of you and not down at your feet, I don't know. For me, I can stagnate so easily when I'm doing that. When I'm focusing so hard on all the ways I'm not like doing the things I feel like I should be doing and all of that. It makes it worse.
Kind of reveals something in yourself too. Because I'm thinking a lot about how that is a lot of my security, I guess, in life is kind of where I see myself.
That's great.
Spiritually.
Same exact experience for me recently.
But I'm like, feel really weird about it right now, I think. Yeah. Like I said, not a bad thing, but
What do
just
you mean by security in that?
like I feel more confident in who I am when I know like where I am. But
I think I know
that's
exactly.
the thing is like, what does that mean? You know, what does it mean to even know where you are spiritually? Like,
It's like we want to be able to like label ourselves as proficient in something. For myself, it was like I was a very smart person and I was a very athletic person and I could have my security and my confidence in that. And those were the things I could label myself as and define myself as. And when you fail a test or lose a race or something like that, those get shaken up. And I feel like very similarly, it's very easy to try to put your confidence in your walk and who you think you are in all of this. And so when you feel like you have circumstances that happen that shake that up, you're like, okay, well, what actually am I then? Right? You feel very, your identity feels, not even identity, that's a bad word, because I don't think your identity is that question. It feels like you're not good at anything. And so you kind of feel like a loser, at least in my experience. And I think that for me, it's really been a call out of like this self-examination in that way.
Yeah.
Because it's just very self-focused. And it's not even, I don't even mean that in like a judgmental way, like, why are you thinking about yourself? No. It's self-focused and like, it just makes you feel worse about yourself. Always. Every time my gaze is fixed on those things, I always just end up feeling like a piece of crap. Every time. And whenever I am actually able to like, I guess, not be concerned with the things that I'm good at and the things that I am progressing in and where I am spiritually, and just look at, okay, where's the Father right now, right? Where is he speaking to me? Where do I see him in our people, right? Where is he drawing me? I don't know. I just feel there's so much more freedom there, and there's so much less spiraling and this self-hatred.
The more you focus on self-improvement, the less okay you will be with failure. Because then it'll say, I'm going against it. I'm trying harder. The less okay you are with failing, the less okay you're going to be with trying anything. So, with the objective of self-improvement, I want to go out there and do things. You're not going to let yourself do it because you could possibly fail. You're going to end up closing yourself off, focused on yourself, as just as you were saying. Not in a bad way. Like, your goal could be trying to be like kind, humble, or out there for people. But if it's your objective, you're not going to actually be able to achieve it really easily.
I even think like the work the Lord does in us, it's very easy to think it's this propagated thing. Let me use a better word. It's something that we are improving in ourselves. Like, I can very much think into the ways, like, and you don't necessarily, like, it's not a thought you say out loud, but it's something you sometimes internalize without realizing. You feel like the ways that the Lord has changed you and moved your heart and made you who you are, you feel like in some way that you did that. Do you know what I mean? And so you feel like when you focus, it's that self-improvement mindset. It's, there's an analect about it. I wish I could remember it. But it's like, I guess when you focus too much on those things of self-improvement, you're actually defeating the whole purpose of it. Because I think what my journey has been, at least, has been, as I pursue the Lord, he fixes things in me. It's not been as like, as I fixate on the things that are wrong with myself and I fix them, I get to move forward. It's been, I look at him and he has been naturally changing things within me outside of my own effort, right? I didn't decide like, I want to be more extroverted and more happy spending time with people. That was not something I ever thought. But as I've walked this journey, I've noticed like, man, I actually really enjoy spending time with people now. That's not something I did. That's not something I chose to do. And I used to be like so anal about my schedule and like things needing to line up. And now, like today, I kind of completely threw that away, like, and was okay with it. I was okay with letting my day be derailed by unexpected things. And that was not something I did to myself. And the only way the Lord was able to do those things within me was because I was focused on him. Not because I was trying to change those things about myself and saying I was trying to change those things in his name. Like, oh, I'm doing this because the Lord, this is what the Lord wants me to do. No, that's not how that works. He changes that in us. I don't know. Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I was asking about the physical ailments with that time was I have noticed some, I don't know if it's anything, but just some funny coincidences with like certain sicknesses and certain things like that happening during, I think, sometimes very important times. I think I was talking with, I think it was Kayla and Naomi maybe I'm misremembering, but they were saying they had some pains and such coming up during that time, and I found it very ironic that during a time of like study and during a time of like listening to the Lord, that my ears were like stuffed to the brim, like, and in pain and things like that, like the thing you need to listen, right? Like I don't know, I was just, that's why I was asking about those sort of things, because I did find it very interesting that like you know, if there was something of significance there and just all those things happening, that might be something. But that was kind of an afterthought. I was just curious.
I felt like a little weirdly tired that day. Yeah,
That's the way I
I,
felt too.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of agree with Benji, and that a lot of it kind of went over my head, but I'm not gonna just say for me that was just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could have been more attentive, and I wish I would have been, because that may have been one of the. Well, I can always go listen back on those, and I plan on doing that, but I won't be able to be there
Mm-hmm.
anymore. But yeah, I did find that interesting as well. Kind of, I always notice too when kind of God is doing something different and something special, even that the enemy makes, you know, an equal amount of effort in, you know, his own capacity to combat that. And I definitely see that and continue to see that now in my own life and in all of our lives and others as well. Something I've been trying to be aware of, especially now that I'm kind of in a little bit of a different place. I mean, I've been kind of all over the place for the past 4 months, being away in another city and stuff. But it's kind of turned a lot of my thinking internal, and I think I have a hard time separating God's work in my life and from his people as a whole, because I know although God does do work in individual lives, it's not about you. You're not so special, but you are at the same time, because you are part of something greater than yourself, and you become the work. You're not an individual in that sense. But I've just kind of struggled with that, and thinking about it in the way that I'm a little separated now. I'm not to, you know, there's no one to blame for that. I mean, I kind of made that choice, but something I kind of wanted to mention on Tuesday, like, I know nobody's like maybe thinking this, but like I really hope there's no like idea that I want to be separated from it. That's something I just want to get off my heart, because I think I've just been thinking about it. But like, there's no desire to be away or separated. Like, my heart is with this people and with you guys, and for God's work. But and God's doing a lot in all of us, and that is very evident. You know, it's good to see you here with us, brother. It's always an encouragement to see God do that in a person's life. It kind of like when Jaden became more part of our community and God's work. It's always interesting to see a different side of that, because I was kind of born into it. The choices I made were a little more subtle, in that I was kind of a part of this way of life since and of course I learned a lot, and our people went through a lot, but I was like seeing, you know, a choice and a changing. It gives me hope. Yeah, absolutely. But it makes me really look forward to the things that God is going to do through you and through many, you know, as these days become much darker, and man's heart is really hardening. So it's always very encouraging to see someone who's like, you know what, like, I know my life is important to me. Everyone's life is important to them. They desire things, they want things, but seeing people make a choice to set that aside is very encouraging to see, and that it's something that I'm trying to do as well, because I feel like I say things a lot, and then I really question if I am who I say, who I proclaim to be. But you're just great encouragement to us, brother. Yeah.
That's seconded. And also, I wanted to add just to you, Elijah, that I want to say that I think that this season that you're going through is not only certainly not something that you're doing to get away from anything, but I think that is actually very, I'll say, ordained for your life. It's kind of funny, but immediately upon like your whole Seattle thing started seeing like, I don't know, really encouraging changes in you. I don't know if I could quite verbalize them because I think they were more subtle, but I really do think that he is doing a work in you through what's going on with you right now. And I even would go as far to say, like, with you saying that you were born into this, I think that like that this time away is very maybe destined even because of that, right? You've kind of been always a part of this, and so I think being able to kind of be forced to take a step back and like kind of grapple with that different environment, I think is very, I don't know what that will yield or why he's doing what he's doing, but I do think he is doing something there. And so I just wanted to share that encouragement with you. Like I never thought that way, and I actually think quite the opposite of that way. So I hope you aren't like, because I'll do this thing to myself where I question my own motivations. And so I certainly hope you are not doing that to yourself, because I absolutely see his hand over your life, and you have been on my heart just with that, with all those things happening. And I'm honestly very sad that I won't get to see you as much. So I'm very happy that I get to interact with you on days like this. That's why I was very much wanting to work out something where nobody had to miss it, because really I really want to try to prioritize to get as many of us here as we can on these days, because who knows, you've got your job stuff, he's going to start getting busier and busier, right? Like, who knows what the future will look like for any of us. And so as many people as we can keep here, at least on these, every 2 weeks, I would love that, because I love seeing all of you, and it just especially you, because I haven't got to see you that much recently.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it seems like the Lord is kind of giving us, all of us, obviously not just me who has a lot of changes going on in life right now. I mean, I think we all do. I think we all, God frequently brings a choice before us, small or very large and detrimental. Like, I notice it in the small things that we do each day or large decisions we make in life. I think they're all a sort of choice that we make in accordance to God and His plan. Something that I've mentioned before, and that Dad used to say to us kids, is that God is right here, and the enemy is right here. There's always, they're always there and present, and seeing the choices we make and what we live unto. And each side is just as important in a good way or, bad. We're either going to go up or down in that way. But not that it's guaranteed that we'll always make the right choice, and we absolutely won't every time. But I've really especially just been questioning, how I hear God, and like that's something that's always been so fascinating to me is how people hear from the Lord and how that happens. For me, it was always very heavily dependent on Emmanuel for me because he helped confirm a lot of things in my life that were from the Lord and him speaking to me. So I feel like I've kind of struggled a lot with that and really knowing when I'm hearing from God or just me. Because I have a very busy thought life, and I've just been like really, praying about it and heavily considering how the Lord speaks. I think, but kind of an encouraging thing in that the other day, I forget what I was going, but there's this song that I used to, Emmanuel showed me, and like we used to sing it together, and like I didn't know what it was saying because it's in Chinese. It's a Chinese song, and like I really liked it. I still do. Like it was a great song because it was sounding good, but I didn't understand what it was saying because I couldn't speak it that well. And like the other day, like I couldn't really listen to the song for a while because it like really hurt my heart. But I listened to that song the other day, and like I understood a lot of it, and I was like, wow, that really does happen. And not even just, besides kind of just like, man, I've come a long way in my learning process, and I just kind of thought about God's voice. It's not English. So that really changed the way I thought about it, and that I need to learn it. It's something, because that's something that's really important to me, is language learning. But, after listening to that song and kind of understanding it more, gave me a little more hope that I can understand God's voice. So.
Well, Lord, I think it is Lord, a very special time in the Spirit, Lord, to hear, Lord, more than just a heart, Lord, that is seeking for you, more than just a person, Lord, that loves you. But Lord, we know that Elijah represents, Lord, this generation. And I hear the cry of his heart, Lord, through his words. The cry of your heart, even. And Lord, that's why I stand up, Lord, and I pray for this brother. Because I want to be a part of that, Lord. I want that life of seeking you. So Lord, I pray for your will, and I pray for your way in this brother's life, Lord, as a sign, Lord, of your goodness. Not to bless a singular man again, Lord, to continue to bring fulfillment, Lord, in our walks with one another, Lord. Lord, many times we forget, we don't know, Lord, how to fully express this gift, Lord, this calling of life. Help us to respond to it, Lord. Lord, keep our eyes, Lord, looking toward you, looking above. Lord, this life is such a blessing to me, Lord. I think each one here, Lord, would say the same, Lord. So, Lord, let this be a reminder for us, Lord, and a continual encouragement to us, Lord, that you are working in our hearts and transforming the parts within us, Lord, that we want to be transformed so that we can better know you, Lord. I pray that, Lord, your guiding light would really shine, Lord, in this dark time. In this time where we don't have a lot of ability to cling to self anymore, Lord, because you're doing away with that part. Lord, wanting to bring us to fullness, Lord, to bring us to the right foundation, Lord. Fully committed to you. And so, Lord, I again thank you for this heart, Lord, your heart toward us. If you can, Elijah, I feel like you should also pray and bless.
Lord, we're thankful for your heart for your people. Lord, that was always your intent and creation, to relate to us, Lord, to speak to us, to walk with us. Lord, you are long suffering, and we don't deserve that, but Lord, you continue to move and to speak and to touch, but only those who are willing. And I pray that each day we would choose, or to lay ourselves down, or to take up our cross, or each day would seek to be a part of what you are doing. That our hearts and minds would be in a constant state of prayer before you. Lord, that our lives would be one lived unto you, Lord, in whatever place and setting you have us in. I pray that our will and our desires would not be so important, Lord, as to undermine what a plan that was for the human race. Lord, may we learn to understand Lord, who we are called and set apart to be. And that we would live with one fear, Lord, and that is the fear of you. Lord, and one desire, Lord, and that is to be closer to you, Lord, and to know you. Lord, I pray that we would lift each other up. I thank you for these people around this table. Or that we would learn and grow to be lights, Lord, in an ever-darkening age. Lord, a reflection of heaven, your sons. Pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you for sharing that. There's a lot about the sincerity that we have before God, and then as a result before one another, that puts to rest much of the ongoing doubt that we face, either consciously and struggle against, or doubts that kind of hide beneath the surface in our hearts and minds, just regarding what God is doing, more than just in our personal lives, but altogether. For instance, man can say so much about how belief and faith is a very small and insignificant and irrational thing. And they can offer so many points and arguments to attempt to prove why that is. But it's these sorts of intimate moments and what I would say are moments that are a culmination of what and who we are in everyday life, that put all of those doubts and those arguments to rest. Because we're not here to make an argument. We're not here to prove something. We're not even here to try to live up to some idea. But we're offering as what we have learned to call and want to live to truly understand to be living sacrifices. We are offering the fullness of ourselves, the essence of ourselves. There's nothing. There's no facade here, is what I'm saying. Certainly no religious masquerade of any kind. And that's why I can even appreciate why sometimes these occasions feel a little awkward, because we're not trying to perform anything. Mm-hmm. And so if it takes a little bit of quietness and frogs in the background to eventually get to a place where we have a sincere expression of a heart, then one thing leads to another. And we don't mind if we have to, go through the first 30 minutes of a meeting kind of seeming to be like this, like we're not really getting anywhere. Like our minds start to change the way that we think about communal gatherings and fellowshipping with one another in one spirit and in unity. And that is what we're experiencing. Is that change. And so remain patient in that and faithful towards one another, and most importantly towards God as that continues to take place. I had a funny analogy that came to mind that's probably been used before, but when y'all were talking about wanting a sense of confidence in our spiritual place, and the analogy is one of an operating system in a computer. So the closest, or I guess the most direct experience we've all had with that is like getting a software update on your phone. Like you got iOS 26, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what an update would look like, at least. But what that's referring to, what's being updated, is the operating system on your phone. Okay, so your phone, this is the hardware, and the software in the phone is what is running. It's what you use to. It's what helps it function as a smart device. Anyways, if you understand the soul or our inner man to be like that hardware, the progression of our spiritual life is very much like the uploading of a new operating system. And I think this applies very much to what a new believer's life will very often look like, Corbin, is when that hardware has received a new operating system, then many things that hardware wasn't aware of before, that being, I don't know, burps are just the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, sorry.
Bodily noises is great. Anyways, the hardware begins to notice certain things, or there's certain things that are noticed about the hardware that never were conspicuous before. Namely, you'll see a bunch of bugs start to pop up. And so that would kind of seem to be a little counterintuitive with the way that devices are often handled, because wouldn't you want the new hardware first before you get the new operating system? But I think that's much. Let's go ahead.
I like this allegory.
Well,
I'll also point out that when you update, half of the old stuff breaks and doesn't work anymore.
exactly.
The
And so
closer I get to this community, the more it alienates me from all my others. Which I don't mean in a cruel way, but it is a bit of distance.
well, that's the
My
thing is
father's only
the receiving, the receiving of a new way of thinking, a new way of perceiving yourself in life, will naturally start to reveal things that functioned perfectly before, but now can't any longer. Is that making sense? So they have to be addressed, and that's all by God's design too. That's like
What are they trying?
we can wrap it up soon so you guys can laugh.
No.
But that's basically, I would say, kind of a wider view and long-term picture of how our spiritual development works. The development of our inner man is when we're receiving this, and I would say it's not just a one-time upload either.
No.
We in seasons, if you will, and that's kind of what marks a season. Is it's a new software update basically, and every update, every installation, whatever you want to call it, as we receive it from God, from heaven, it's meant to improve capacity and performance. But every time there is that update, it will right away reveal or lead to the inevitable bugs that show up. So those feelings of discontentment with where one is at, or things again that in the past update or the past season worked perfectly fine as it was meant to, but now they were good. They were good features, if you will, but now they have to be disposed of. There's a new level, a new season of life that has been entered into, in which they're not only not required anymore, but they can be a nuisance. They are a bug now. They're not a feature anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the interesting aspect of progression in our spiritual life. And I know this is kind of silly terminology to use. It's very techy.
No, it
But
works for me.
What
It's
was
close
once
to
a
what I
feature is
understand.
now a bug. You see what I'm saying?
No, that's.
Or the cause for
I
it.
very much understand that.
So we can at least, or at the very least, be encouraged by the fact that the very fact that we are experiencing the bugs is just a part of that initial stage of the receiving of a new
No, yeah.
operating
If
system.
everything was going smoothly, you're not changing. Change always hurts.
Yeah. But that puts you in a different frame of mind about your own self-analysis of your spiritual state. It can be seen as a matter of you being or becoming whatever you'd say, lukewarm or distracted or hopeless, whatever it is. And this is what I see as the unique, even using this analogy, as the unique aspect of God's design in it, is that He doesn't provide the new hardware, if you will, first. It is the operating system. It's the new update that is given to you, so that the transformation of the soul is what takes place following that. So the new hardware is what is provided following that, because that's part of the process of growth as a son, or maturity, or leading onto, yikes.
What was that?
3 gunshots.
Oh, was that? I thought that was a knock on the door.
Oh my God, very distant,
Yeah.
rapid knock.
Yeah, now my frogs are gone.
Yeah, I got all the wrong. Anyways, maybe this example's a little out there, but
I like it.
it's,
No, you're reaching, but it all makes sense.
yeah. I think it was one that Emmanuel had used once upon a time, and I was reminded of it for some reason.
That seems like an example of manual.
Yeah, he's a pretty techie guy.
Maybe it was beyond everyone else that he had mentioned it to as well, because he didn't mention it that often. Or maybe he did, actually.
I think
don't
I've heard your dad say it before, so.
I'm not even meaning to pretend like I understand all that stuff very well myself, but it is just kind of a funny analogy. But hopefully it's at least giving us a bit of an encouragement to shift the way that we perceive our own spiritual status, or because a lot of this is a self-perception thing that we're experiencing, like, where am I spiritually? But when you've come to a certain place of spiritual maturity, then that is very much less often the question you're asking is, where am I spiritually? Who am I spiritually? Those are questions that are asked and actually must be asked early on. But the answers to those questions are only the beginning of who you are to become and what you are to understand spiritually. Because the oneness in universality, if you will, which is, I'm tying that in the sense of unity of the Spirit, is such that it's not an individualized thing. It can't remain that. Your understanding of the Spirit and spiritual life cannot remain individualized. And so if that's constantly where you fall back to and revert to when it comes to some lack of clarity or unsettlement spiritually, then it's just yet another sign that you have some things to replace and debug in your the computer.
I think I do that
Of your
mainly
soul.
through spilling my guts to people.
I think that's a pretty widely shared thing, because your perspective or what you were originally thinking, whatever it's about, tends to change once it's put out in the open, because it's always a little different inside.
Doing the better thing is generally always going to be the harder thing. It's going to take more effort. And the last thing I was communicative. I can't even pronounce that. Communicative?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. $40,000 for this job. I can't say that.
It's trust me, there are people with perfectly fine jobs that have a hard time with it.
He said $40,000 for this jaw.
It's his jaw surgery. Yeah.
I thought
Still
he said
can't whistle
for.
either.
I thought he said for John. I was
I
like,
thought it said John.
No.
Everybody's got messed
Jaw
up.
I used all
jobs.
my tip
What
money
does
to buy
John
a fridge
have to do with
yesterday. That was
Jaw.
fun.
Well, Brian.
Brand, same guy you, I think.
40,000? That's insane.
Yeah.
You just
There's
realized what
40,000.
he
That's
said.
insane.
Okay,
No,
the
me
fast
and my-
fridge was $9,000.
Yeah, the
Fridge.
fridge. Yeah, the fridge.
We ain't talking about it.
600,
Okay,
700.
we're not talking about it.
The jaw was mainly my father, and I did what I could. But no, change will always hurt.
Kayla, did you have anything?
No, I didn't have anything.
Would you want to pray for us then?
Of course. Father, I thank you for this time that we get to come together. I pray that these conversations and things to share with one another would continue to follow us outside of this meeting time and our set meeting times. That you would continue to bless each one of our relationships with one another in this community as you are revealing your way and your word. Lord, I ask for your peace in this confusing, busy season and your comfort, because there is nothing that could ever replace that. I thank you for this time that we've had tonight with one another.